Cotton Exchange Plaza in Flora, Mississippi, as well as the Men's Health and Women's Wellness Studio of
Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi Studios. You can see Shaun's duck lips.
Yeah, I'm trying to just so Lindsay's complain off the camera. I'm sure I'll get complaints about it, but I'm gonna have it the way I want it. So anyway,
I've done a lot better about that. Look, do y'all hear him? This is the Lindsey Beckham show, but I'm gonna have it the way I want it.
Well,
you hear him? You hear him?
The camera, I'm gonna have the camera the way I want it. So. Anyway, we hope you guys are having a great weekend. Hope you guys had a wonderful Labor Day weekend, and it's our last day before everybody goes back to work. And we decided to do a show because we are interested in this trial, and we have nothing else going on. Quite frankly, no, I had a lot going on today. I've been working, but I wanted to get in here and talk to you about the Donna Adelson trial in Tallahassee, Florida. And Lindsay has been following it intensively as well, so we're going to discuss all that and get into it.
Can I have the remote so I can make my camera look the way I want? Thank you.
Yep, sure. Anyway, so we are going to, we're going to go get into that. And I hope that you guys had a great Labor Day weekend. If you effed around and don't want to find out this weekend, which a lot of people did, I'm sure there's always a huge law enforcement presence during the holiday weekends. You can reach me at onetextlaw.com. I specialize in criminal defense, DUIs. I do a lot of DUI work, and I can help you out if you are just bonding out of jail this morning, which is, I'm sure there's a lot of people doing that.
Drug deal's gone bad.
Yeah, and I'll be glad to talk to you about your case, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are very unhappy because they partied a little too hard this weekend and decided
maybe they hired someone to kill their son-in-law,
or they could have like this woman. But if that's what happened, just you can reach me at onetextlaw.com, and we will reach out to you as fast as we can. So anyway, yes. Lindsay,
we reach out quickly.
Yep,
we're good at that.
So. We are we are going to talk about the Donna Adelson trial today, Lindsay. Right?
Yes. Lots of stuff happened. You were here with me last Monday when we talked about it, but lots of things have happened since then, and it's gotten quite exciting.
Okay, well, tell everybody, what was the last thing that happened? I just started reviewing it again today. I know the prosecution has rested.
They rested the end of the day on Friday, but we have now heard from the oldest brother, Rob. We have heard from Wendy's ex-boyfriend. You want to give kind of a really quick overview so people understand who the players are?
So what we're talking about here is the Donna Adelson trial. It is the murder of a man named Dan Markel, who is a Florida State University law professor. He and his wife, Wendi, both lawyers, both met in law school. They were married, living in Tallahassee. While he was a law professor at that school. This is way back in 2014. So this case stretches over a decade now. And what happened was Wendi and Dan got a divorce like everybody else on the planet. and
not everybody.
And we're arguing over their kids and where they'd live. Wendi is from South Florida, where I grew up, and from the Miami area. And her family's there. They are a very wealthy dentist family. They run a lot of cosmetic dentist offices. If you know anything about Miami, that's huge there with all the models and the plastic surgery. It's big. So they made millions. These people are loaded.
The Real Housewives of Miami live there.
They just made a ton of money. And so the Wendy's father's a famous dentist from Miami. Her brother is a periodontist, especially.
They do surgery. That's what I found out. I had to Google it. The periodontists actually do the surgical procedures.
Yeah, and so they do that, and they made a lot of money. So so Wendi, though, decided not to become a dentist and went to law school, where she met Dan. They lived up there, and they were getting divorced. Well, part of the divorce was that she had to stay in Tallahassee because that's where his job as a law professor was.
And that's where they got married and made their family home. That's where they, brought their children home when they had these two boys. So it makes sense that, his job is there. He doesn't want to leave. And that was a problem.
Yeah, and Miami is really far from Tallahassee. That's like a different part of the world.
8-hour drive, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's just that's what I call.
It's like night and day.
Tallahassee's kind of part of the South, and Miami is not.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it is a different world up there. So it'd be hard if you have kids to kind of shuffle them back and forth that kind of distance. And so that's what Dan.
And kids have to go to school, right? And I mean, you can't go to school 1 week in Tallahassee and then 1 week in Miami. It doesn't really work that way.
No, it wouldn't. So, and Dan was a good father. Wanted to see his kids. You can't blame the guy for that. And
no, I mean, he turned down $1 million. They offered him $1 million.
Well, they didn't end up offering, but I'll get
to
that.
They did. They did. He turned it down outright.
Oh, that's
we
okay.
talked about that on the show last Monday.
Well, they had so they tried to come up. Apparently, Lindsay remembers that better than I do. They came up with a bunch of ways to get Dan to move or let the kids move to South Florida with Wendi.
But he said
One was
absolutely
offering
not.
$1 million. He didn't take that. There were other things I think they tried to do to coerce him, and it just didn't work. They tried to make his life a living hell. That was one of the ways they were thinking
I mean,
about.
so much as to like claim he's Jewish. They're going to claim that they're going to take the kids and put them in Catholic Sunday school and hire these teachers to come in and catch them up on the Bible according to Catholics, which would have been his worst nightmare.
Yeah. He's like, don't make them Christian.
I
Like,
mean,
no,
I
no.
feel
No, I
like Jews are
understand. He's a-
Christian. You know what I mean?
No, well,
He was a
they're not,
very,
yeah,
a practicing, a very
Orthodox. Jew,
Orthodox.
yeah.
That's the word.
He was.
Orthodox.
Yeah, he's very. Hey, look, in all respect. I mean, he wants his kids to be raised in his religion, and I think that where the Adelsons are Jewish too.
They're Jewish too.
So they just all of a sudden, I'm going to avert to Christianity.
Well, it was anything to make him go along with what they wanted.
So
I mean, there are
crappy.
emails from the mom, the matriarch who's on trial,
Yeah.
Donna, to Wendi saying, you need to put on the best show of your life. You've got to act. You've got to make him believe these things. We're going to do this, and we're going to make him so upset that he will allow you to bring the kids to Miami.
Okay. Yeah. And so that didn't work. And well, they decided, okay, they're going to go all in. And what they did was, so Charles Adelson is Wendy's brother, who's again, also a dentist.
Very honest.
Right. Same though. I mean, dentist, same in that field, right? It's like saying someone's a doctor with specialty, but and so they decide he's dating some lady named Katie Manacabal. I can never say her last name. She's Filipino.
McManabal.
And how he met this chick, I can't figure out, because he's this rich Jewish family in Miami, and she's like she's like gang connected. Like she's like the mafia connected. She's connected to the Latin Kings, I think, and maybe some other gangs. And she was dating one of the guys. I think it was Garcia or Rivera. I can't remember which one was her boyfriend.
Garcia.
And they were involved. These two men were involved in Latin Kings. Well, so she was Katie became what I like to call the bag man in the situation, where she arranged the money and the hookup to these two guys, Rivera and Garcia, between the Adelsons, who's this rich family. They don't know gang members, they don't know that world. And so she kind of was a conduit between them.
Which is always, it's been so strange to me that how was Charlie dating this girl? How did they?
That's what I was saying. I don't know how you got hooked up with this chick. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, just not what you would have thought. Something like that. And who was sleeping with, I think, Garcia and Charlie at the same time. So
yes, Garcia's she's got two kids with 2 or 3 with Garcia. And so this was somebody she knew well.
Yeah.
It seems like she'd always been in love with. I think Charlie was just somebody to pass
the rich
time.
guy to hang out with.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. It's unfortunately for him, but so they hired the Adelsons hired Rivera and Garcia to go kill Dan, which eventually they do in 2014. And I think shooting him in his car. Is that right?
Yes, they followed him. They followed him to drop his kids off at daycare, and then to the gym, and then back home, where he never even got out of his car. They shot him.
And and so they go up to Tallahassee, and I think they would try to make one attempt, and then they don't do it. And another attempt, they do it. They kill them. They turn off their phones for a moment, and then turn them back on, go back to Florida. Well, the authorities eventually start using like cell phone tracking evidence, realize that these guys had gone up there. They had other evidence that came in.
They're in a rental car, and they tracked the rental car through different cameras throughout town. And
they're developed as suspects and whatnot. And so the case goes on. Again, this is 2014, so we're talking about 11 years ago, where Rivera and Garcia do get convicted. Now, Rivera pleads guilty in exchange for testimony against Garcia, which Garcia goes to jail for life. Katie Manaba, she goes to trial and gets convicted for life in prison. And Rivera's got 19 years as a cooperating state's witness. Well, then now here they go after Charlie. And Charlie in 2023, he gets convicted. And so now they're on finally to Donna, who's the mother, the 75-year-old mother. That's kind of, the state is portraying as like the brains behind the whole operation, because she's the one who controls the whole family. So we are here on her trial. And a lot of the evidence they have around her is there was, I believe, some meeting with some undercover agents where they discussed like paying more money.
That's what they called the bump. So yeah, they were undercover agents, and they went to her and said, we're going to need more money. And then they had phones tapped, and they wanted to see how she responded. Right. But I think a lot of the evidence is the fact that once they find out who the killers are, then they make this connection with Katie, who was dating Charlie, who leads back to Dan, the man that was murdered. So they've got that, and then they start to dig even deeper and find out that this mom, Donna Adelson, from the dentistry business, was writing checks to Katie
Yeah.
and she never worked there.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's that's a little bit incriminating, I would think.
Right. And then they also have all these wiretaps and these phone calls
Mhm.
and these emails between, back and forth between her and Wendi. And like, obviously the things that she was saying, like, let's make his life a living hell. Like, I hate, she called him horrible names. Just, you could tell that she really despised her son-in-law.
Yeah, I mean, apparently so. Enough to have him killed just so the kids and her daughter can move back to Miami. Well, where we are now in the trial is there's been 6 days so far, 26 witnesses, hours of undercover recordings. The prosecution has finally rested. I think they rested on Friday. Is that
Friday
right?
afternoon at the end of the day, yeah.
They've laid out everything, and they believe connects 75-year-old Donna Adelson to this murder. So on Tuesday, tomorrow, it's going to be the defense's turn, and they're expected to take about 4 to 6 days. And Donna Adelson may or may not testify. We'll get into that, the mechanics of
I
that
believe
later.
she will.
Right. And I want to discuss that in like the next segment. We can
Mhm.
kind of discuss the benefits, the pros and cons of that and whatnot. But one of the two witnesses in this segment we'll get into is that they had two what's called a jailhouse informant, is what I've always called. When I was a prosecutor, I was an assistant DA for about 10 years in Hinds County, and you'd have a jailhouse informant. These guys
Mhm.
happen a lot, right? They do. And so two of them were.
And can you ever really trust them?
That's the thing, and I'll explain that. So there's two of them, Patricia Bird and Drina Bernhardt. Now, Patricia claims Donna admitted her role while in jail, which she's in jail waiting the trial, so people pretrial incarceration. That saying that the plot was about keeping her grandkids, but it wasn't supposed to go that far. That's what she tells Patricia Bird.
Yeah, I think that's BS.
And then there's another jailhouse informant, Drina Bernhardt, who said Donna actually wrote her a script of fake testimony, offered her bribes, everything from 10 grand to a grand piano if she would repeat that in court. That she wanted to repeat this false testimony that she's telling her to do, telling this jailhouse informant. So that's what the state puts on these two jailhouse informants to evidence that she's guilty, obviously.
Mhm.
Now I'll tell you something, just from personal experience. You got to be really careful with the jailhouse informant, Lindsay. Like
Yeah.
there's actually a jury instruction in Mississippi that you automatically get as a defendant when you're representing the defendant, because I've done this when I've represented the defendant too. And it's basically that jailhouse informant tests must be taken with great care, caution, and suspicion. I mean, that's what this instruction says. Great care, caution, suspicion.
Some more information about these two.
Yeah, right. You'll get sure. Like, but I just wanted to lay that out there. Just so when you're the state and you're calling these jailhouse informants, you just know that. And I assume Florida has some derivative of that kind of instruction, the great care, caution, and suspicion instruction. So the jury's going to read that instruction and say, "Hey, look, I'm going to have to look at this witness's testimony under a lens of great care, caution, suspicion, other than I would another witness's testimony."
But Donna has testified about these two before.
Mm-hmm.
In her bond hearing. Did you go back and watch her testimony from the bond hearing?
No, go ahead. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so she testified in her bond hearing when they were trying to get her out of jail until her trial.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what year this took place. And obviously, it's been in the last little bit. When Charlie was convicted.
She was arrested in 2023.
So it's been obviously at some point
right.
since then she's been in jail, and she goes and testifies that these two women had like assaulted her in the jail, and they knew where the cameras were. They would come in when she was in the shower, threaten her. One of them had twisted her arm. She had to go see a doctor about it, and that they had been making her order them these boxes through the commissary program and get them food, those types of things. So these women she's testified against, and she's made allegations against prior to them coming in this trial and testifying against her. So that also gives them ammunition to want to testify against her because they're angry that she said those things.
Let me ask you this though: was that after the state had their testimony, like that was given to her in discovery? They were going to.
I'm not sure. I just know
that would be
interesting
to know. I would think that it'd be interesting to know that whether she'd already had information they were going to testify against her, and then therefore she came up with that. Now, I'm not saying I believe these jailhouse informants, because you got to look like you got to be really stupid to confess to the person in the cell next to you. Mind you, it happens a lot. There's a lot of idiots out there, and they do this. And believe me, I've called these witnesses so many times, and where they've done that, and it's just every time I'm like, did he really say that? But then there's other motivations for it too, and I want to get back into that because I think it's really interesting.
It was in March of 25, so it had to be after, I imagine.
And we'll get into it. I want to get into all the jailhouse stuff, and then the other stuff that Lindsay wanted to get into about the whole stuff next segment here on the Lindsay Beckham Show. Please stay tuned.
1039 WYAB.
Friday night lights, family, and a hot Johnny's Pizza House pizza on the table. Now, that's our kind of hunting. Make it a sweep the kitchen and bring everyone together. Johnny's Pizza House. Let's share a slice. Here in the South, we keep our football loud and our pizza loaded. Grab a Johnny's Pizza House, sweep the kitchen, and cheer on your hometown team. Johnny's Pizza House. Let's share a slice.
Nick Bain served Mississippi for over a decade in the State House. During that time, he fought for our children by protecting them against explicit materials pushed by the woke agenda. He protected taxpayers by streamlining government and helped create policies that have made Mississippi better. Nick and his team at Bain Bowen will use the same tenacity in helping you with all your legal matters. Call them today at 601-953-2994. Find Nick online at bainbowen.com. That's BAIN Bowen.com.
Did you know that the average 6-room house collects 40 pounds of dust each year? Local business Pure Air Consultants duct cleaning service can rid your home of the dust, dirt, and debris that may be caught in your air ducts. They can eliminate the mold, fungi, and microbes that might be growing inside your ductwork and polluting the air you breathe in your home. Mention WYAB and receive a free UV light with system replacement. Visit online at mypureairconsultants.com. mypureairconsultants.com.
Here's John and Corey Ravenstein for Juniker Jewelry Company.
In Mississippi, hunting isn't a sport, it's a religion.
All my buddies grew up hunting, and I don't miss a season today.
Being a straight shooter, being safe, honest, and accurate in the field is the most important thing of all.
It's exactly the same way when it comes to diamonds. You want a hunting buddy who can teach you all the secrets of the diamond business.
So you really know diamond grading, the 4 C's, and how you get the most diamond for your hard-earned money.
That's exactly what you get when you shop for your diamond at Juniker Jewelry Company.
As Mississippi's direct diamond importers, we're a target-rich environment with 10 times the diamonds you'll find in average stores.
And diamond for diamond, the guaranteed best price in the state.
And that's shooting you straight.
9 out of 10 Mississippi women agree.
The more a man hunts,
the more he needs Junikers.
Juniker Jewelry Company, Mississippi's direct diamond importer. From anywhere in Mississippi, we're at 1485 Highland Colony Parkway, just south of 463 in Madison, and junikerjewelry.com.
Rotor's Plumbing of Pearl, your familiar plumber with these similar names. Locally owned and operated by Chris Rotor. Rotor's Plumbing is no franchise, simply lower prices and better service without the dreaded overpriced upsell. Rotor's is one of the few places you'll find that actually specialize in tankless water heater repair, as well as being your full-service plumber. And most importantly, service after the sale, meaning the techs actually answer your call, with misses averaging callbacks of 10 minutes or less. Rotor's Plumbing at roedersplumbing.com.
Are you a wine enthusiast? Are you looking for the perfect bottle to elevate your next dinner? The ultimate destination for wine lovers is 042 Wine and Spirits on West Government Street in Brandon. They're locally owned, they're locally operated. 042 Wine offers something for everyone, from local favorites to rare vintage wines. 042 Wine and Spirits can help you find your next favorite wine. The friendly and knowledgeable folks at 042 Wine and Spirits will help you find the perfect bottle for every occasion. 042 Wine and Spirits, located on West Government Street in Brandon.
Dr. Mike Stonington here from Stonington Farm Grass-Fed Beef. Here in South Mississippi on Stonington Farm, our steers are grass-fed and grass-finished. No grain, no hormones, no antibiotics, no mRNA vaccines. Our grass-fed and grass-finished beef is straight from our farm to your table. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and at StoningtonFarm.com. That's StoningtonFarm.com with 2 N's. And we deliver every 4 weeks to the Jackson area. We are the grass-fed difference.
Come together.
And we're back on the Lindsey Beckham show here on this lovely Labor Day weekend, which, by the way, Lindsey, the weather has been wonderful. I know sometimes we actually sound like the weather show here, but it was good this weekend. It was not super hot, and it was fun. We went and watched college football this weekend, it's great to have the football season back. And that's yeah, I know you're super excited. Okay, guys out there, it's awesome. College football is back. It's the NFL starts.
I don't mind it. I mean, it's not terrible. Obviously, I'm not as into it as you football enthusiasts, but I mean, it's definitely fun to drink and watch football.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Something to do on the weekend. So it was, and I went to Ohio State for undergrad, and we beat Texas, and so that was a fun thing. Saw the Mississippi State fans did beat Southern Miss, and Ole Miss just killed Georgia State. We watched a little bit of that. So
Ole Miss and State are undefeated, and Alabama hasn't won a game. Let's hold on to that for the next week because it doesn't happen very often.
No, Alabama lost to an unranked Florida State too, so it makes it even better. Them sucking.
It really does.
They're so enjoyable for the whole country. I think everybody can get behind Alabama losing, except for the Alabama fans that never went to Alabama. That's what I call them.
The words "Roll Tide" make me sick to my stomach.
Right, exactly. But here we are. We're discussing the Donna Adelson trial, and we were getting into the jailhouse informants. And what I was trying to explain was that when you're the state and you put on a witness that hears a confession in the jail while you're waiting to go to trial, it's called it's a jailhouse informant, and the jury automatically in Mississippi, I'm sure Florida has something very similar, gets a jury instruction that says that the jury's supposed to look on that testimony with great care, caution, and suspicion, something around that language. And so when they look at that, they're like, okay, what the first question, Lindsay, what you're going to ask is, what are the motivations of these witnesses to testify? Because they're already in jail and they're generally not good Samaritans. So they're probably doing this for something. They're going to get
I'm sure there's some sort of something that's been promised to them, even if it's not a deal that they've worked out on paper. I'm sure there's something they believe that they might be getting in the future.
Yeah, I mean that's what you do. I remember when I was prosecuting, I'd call those witnesses. Some prosecutors do it this way. They'll make a deal. Let's say somebody is charged with like a co-defendant in a murder case, and they'll say, okay, we'll plead you to 20 years manslaughter, and that's the deal that we make. And so when they testify and they're cross-examined by the defense is like, what are you going to get? And they're like, I'm getting 20 years for this. And so the jury's like, whoa, this dude's walking with only 20 years. So I never used to do that. I just used to say, look, your testimony would be good for you.
They'll say whatever
they'll
say whatever you want them to say if it's going to get them out of jail quicker.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason for the jury instruction. And the jury kind of knows that. So if you got a case where you got to rely on their testimony, that's bad for you. Now, not in this case, they're relying on a lot of other things.
I didn't think they were the two witnesses out of that 26 or whatever that were the most important anyway. No, I think there were other ones who really kind of put the nail in the coffin for Donna.
I agree with you. I think I almost don't know if I'd recall them. I just
probably would have left them off.
It just in my experience, having done that several times, it muddies the water. Mm-hmm. It gives the defense something because you're always going to look good as the defense on cross-examination when you got a jailhouse informant on the witness stand.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example because Lindsay is also my assistant, as well as my girlfriend and co-host sometimes. And she works for me, and we tried a capital murder case earlier this year in Hinds County where the jury hung up. So that was good. That's like a win for the defense. Mm-hmm. And they had a
because our client was innocent.
Right. Yes, he is innocent. And they had a witness who was a cooperating co-defendant who had made a deal. And it got so when I was my chance to cross-examine her, it got so bad for her that she admitted to I asked her, like, are you a liar? And she said, yeah, I am, which was the first time I've ever got a witness to actually say that on the stand. It looked really bad for the state because that was their main witness. And that's what I think caused the jury to hang up on that case because her testimony was so bad and she was so biased. And she was
the one who was guilty.
Yeah. And she'd got a deal where she just basically walked out of the courtroom. And we're talking about a capital murder case, the one that we tried. And so it is when you're hanging your hat as the state, as the prosecution on a jailhouse or a cooperating co-defendant, either or, it's tough. It is always tough. You got to have other stuff. They can be like sprinkles on ice cream, but otherwise I will take the cooperating co-defendant before the random jailhouse dude that sits there and says, oh yeah, man, I just heard William whatever tell me that he killed this person. It just always sounds so ridiculous most of the time. At least that's the way I thought about it. And I feel like the jury sees that and senses that. So, but they called him anyway. And so, Lindsay, you actually were really listening to some of this other testimony. What happened there was now Wendi Adelson, who's the daughter of Donna being on trial, Wendi, Dan's widow now, I guess, or widow ex-wife, boyfriend after that, the marriage, testified too. And what was he testifying to? Because I know you really followed that one.
Yes. So he testified to the fact that he was dating Wendi, and that he had met the parents. He was around the kids. He had even met Dan a few times. He talked about how Wendi, it's all she ever wanted to talk about was the divorce and how Dan was such a bad guy.
That's like a crappy relationship, right?
Yeah.
You're like, is this about me?
Yeah, exactly. But
was he the first guy after the divorce?
I believe so. But they dated a little under a year. And so when this plan finally came to fruition, these guys drove from Miami to Tallahassee to kill Dan.
Yeah.
It was during a time, the first time they went there to kill him. It didn't end up happening. They lost him. They were trailing him. They lost him. The second time it did happen. But both times that they went to kind of put this plan into motion, the boyfriend of Wendi was out of town, was actually leaving to go out of town, and would have been by himself. There would have been no alibi for him. And so the second time, the time the murder actually occurred, he changed his plans at the very last minute, and he ended up leaving town the night before to go to Tennessee alone. But had he not done that, he would have been in the vicinity of Dan's house on his way out of town at the time of the murder. So he started to look at this thinking, oh, well, that's odd. And looked back at, once he found out there was a plan prior to that, he realized, oh, wait, I was going out of town at that time too. Well, then he realizes that the rental vehicle that these hitman used was one that looked very similar to the car that he owned. So it's almost as though he was the scapegoat. He was the one they were going to blame it on should something have gone awry.
Yeah, like they're all trying to come up with something. I mean, it makes sense in terms of Wendy got she got the most to gain from this murder. She's able to go home. Donna just, I guess, gains control over her daughter and her grandkids, which is what she wants. But Wendy gets to get away from Tallahassee. And by the way, I mean, if you've been to Tallahassee and you've been to Miami, and I guess I'm biased because I'm from Miami, I'd much rather live in Miami than I would Tallahassee. So maybe that's part of it. She wanted to go home and be around. I mean, I imagine Wendy didn't have to work if she didn't want to, as wealthy as this family is, it seems like.
Although she is an attorney.
She's an attorney. Yeah, that's it. She is an attorney. That's how she met poor Dan, and
actually they met online on a dating website.
Did they? It was not in law school?
It was not. No, they met online. But yeah,
that's another bad advertisement for online dating.
Yeah. But
swipe left.
Yeah. But, and I think even more so, I think that's pretty damning testimony right there. But I think even more so than that is the older brother who is estranged from his family.
Robert Adelson is his name.
Rob. And he testified. This is the first time we've seen him testify. He has not testified. Actually had a girlfriend who he loved, who's Indian descent. And Donna threw such a fit about that and her not being Jewish that he actually ended up breaking up with the girlfriend. He married this Jewish woman. It didn't last long. They got a divorce, and then he got back with the Indian girlfriend who he loved, and now they have 2 kids. They're happily married. But he testified to the fact that his mother was controlling, like basically narcissistic. I mean, there was no love lost there, and he is estranged, pretty much has disowned his mom, and the things that he had to say about her were not very nice.
I also noticed that he said that his mom warned him not to talk to police. Did you hear him say that?
Yes, and he said, I already have, and her response to that was, well, that's okay, you don't know anything anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty guilty to me. He kind of painted a picture of a woman that was obsessed with complete control of her family, like you were saying with his fiance or girlfriend, the Indian woman, and that she was bitterly angry at Dan Markel. That's kind of what he had described. And I watched, Markel. Okay, Markel. That's the way Rob Adelson kind of described it from when I was watching his testimony. That was one thing that he didn't seem like he liked his mom. It seemed like she was one of those overbearing moms.
Yeah,
which we all know, and unfortunately, and that happens to a lot of people. But he
lives in New York. He moved far
he moved away from mama. He got away from mama. So that's let's moms out there, try to be nicer to your sons and let them make their own bad decisions. Trust me. But anyway,
and don't kill your son-in-laws.
Don't kill your son-in-laws. Check out your future, or guys dating someone. Check out your possible future mother-in-law. You don't want to run.
Look, I can testify to that.
Yeah, that might be. You don't want to skip on to a new relationship. But we'll get back to the rest of the trial on the next segment of the Lindsey Beckham Show. You all stay tuned. The Lindsey Beckham Show. You all stay tuned.
103.9 WYAB.
Friday night lights, family, and a hot Johnny's Pizza House pizza on the table. Now that's our kind of hunt. Make it a swoop to the kitchen and bring everyone together. Johnny's Pizza House. Let's share a slice. Here in the South, we keep our football loud and our pizza loaded. Grab a Johnny's Pizza House, sweep the kitchen, and cheer on your hometown team. Johnny's Pizza House. Let's share a slice.
Pure Air Consultants has always been your go-to for reliable and affordable heating and cooling systems, and now we are offering Day and Night brand to avoid the 25 to 30% increases that everyone is talking about. With Day and Night, Pure Air Consultants professionals can install a reliable system with a 10-year system warranty, and right now receive $20 off on service diagnostic fees. Call us today, 601-939-7420, mypureairconsultants.com.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Did you know that the average 6-room house collects 40 pounds of dust each year? Local business Pure Air Consultants duct cleaning service can rid your home of the dust,